Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my podcast. Today is Friday, so it is my day off, and I'm walking out to the barn to feed the horses. I will try to stay in the light. I will have a finished object for you today, and a new cast on, and 2 works in progress when I get to that point. It's a beautiful, cool morning this morning. It might be freezing. Close to freezing. It is, if I didn't say this already, it's about 6 a.m. So it's just starting to get light, sort of, and it's very helpful that there aren't any clouds in the sky, because it's really still, I don't think the sun's coming up until at least another 45 minutes or so. Here's the creek. It's a little bit of ground fog, so that's the outfall of the creek. So pond, this is upstream, the house through the trees, and the barn. Duck under the fence. I'm sure the horses are ready to be fed. So not only do I have some knitting to do today, my trainer is coming at 11:30, and between now and then I'm going to go pick up my horse trailer from getting serviced, and hopefully get to go on a trail ride this weekend, although the weather is not supposed to be very favorable. Today's the nice day. Looking for the horses. You can see some eyeballs over there, but you can't see them. So anyway, I'm gonna get to feeding. Hey y'all, it's about 7:30 or so. I'm gonna walk out to the barn and let the horses out of their breakfast pens, but I just kind of wanted to show you how spring is shaping up. So this little tree is blooming, the grass is growing. Yes, that is our propane tank. The purpose of the tree is to screen that. There's the porch post. Anyway, the grass is growing. Some of our neighbors have started mowing, but I tend to not start mowing until March. It's getting close, I realize that, but the grass can grow. It's fine. Beautiful day, birds are chirping. I don't know if you can hear the robins. There's the sun coming up over there, over the well house. So I just wanted to share with you this kind of lovely morning walk. There's the garden that I'll start thinking about planting soon. So those are blueberries in there, and that's a rosemary. The cone is for Bragi's cone targeting exercise, and that's where the horse trailer generally gets parked, over on that side. So I will see you soon. Hi everyone, welcome to the knitting portion of my podcast. As you can see, I'm wearing my summer sock camp shirt and a finished object. So this is the Pacific Co. Knits Winter Motifs scarf that I decided to make into a cowl. And it was really, really fun. So you can see reindeer, and I'll get back to that seaming business. And let me see. You can see the snowman, and then these other winter motifs. So kind of some like church windows. I'm getting into like evergreen trees, holly leaves, very festive. and some more kind of wintry, snowy. There's probably a better way for me to show this. So this is knit in a giant tube, just like you would a cowl. And I used one of her other patterns that I have to graft it together. The instructions, I have to say, in the other pattern weren't very specific. It just said graft together in the way that you like. And I used Kitchener stitch, which works very well for socks. I mean, you do it, you can do it and then turn it inside out. Or, well, no, not really. I'm thinking about that, because you do it on the outside of the sock and it works just fine. I have to say, snowflakes, that it wasn't as invisible as I expected, and I'm not sure why. So I'm gonna have to look into that more. So these are cups with hearts. This was, like I said, really fun knit. And I did the reindeer again. Did the snowmen too. Oh, here they are. There. So I did the snowmen, and this section had actually, the first section that I showed you was only, I just did it all in white. This one I did the full 3 colors, which is really hard. So I'm not super happy with the seam, and I think what I would do differently next time is maybe a 3 needle bind off. See if that would work better. But I love this. It's the right, to me, it's just the right size. This is fingering weight, and it's a tube. I just took it off the blocking rack. And then, you know, you can double it and then wear it, and it would be nice and warm in the winter because it's close enough to your neck. But it doesn't have all the bulk and the dangly bits that a scarf would have. So that's why I turned it into a cowl. And I knit all the motifs that I wanted to knit. Super fun. Highly recommend the pattern. I would think about how to do the join. Yeah, I did it 2 different ways. On one side, I did it what I thought was one way, and then on the other side I did it the other way, but they turned out the same. So I'm not really sure what to think about that. The other thing, so that's a finished object. The other part of the kind of what I'm wearing, since I'm wearing just a t-shirt, not a sweater or something, it's actually a really beautiful spring day, which you would have seen in my introduction. But I'm also wearing these socks. This is a pattern by Stephen West. It was his mystery sock along from last summer. So you can see where the round changed in the middle. Super fun. These were cuffed down. This is Knit Picks Dove Gray combined with a hand-dyed yarn by Nativity. So Ray Witterman, there's a source for that, link to that in my show notes. So yeah, just kind of typical Stephen West, where there's just different textures and different patterns. It's not color work. A lot of these are slip stitches, so it was really easy. And the socks are nice and squishy. And then the heel was alternating stripes with the, you typically on the heel flap, you alternate slip stitch, knit, slip stitch, knit, slip stitch, knit, and then purl on the way back on the wrong side. So that turned out pretty well. I've been wearing these a lot, so that's why they look a little rumpled and maybe a little fuzzy. That looks like, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, that's probably where I sewed in an end. So these are one of my favorite pair of socks. They fit very well. You can see there's a cable right here between the instep and the sole of the foot. So fun pattern, lots of different techniques to try. Highly recommend it. I was trying to remember what the name of the pattern is. If I think of it, I'll put it in my show notes. What else have I been up to? Speaking of socks, so you have seen these socks before. I'm getting close to the end of the first sock. So 52 weeks of socks, just in case that's backwards. I won't make you look at it long. Something just fell in, oh, it's a needle stopper, which I'm not using right now. I'm doing the first pair called Intersections, and it's made out of Patons Kroy yarn. I am using, I want to say, so here is a picture of the sock. And, whoops, no, sorry. Here is a picture of the sock. So a cabled sock. I am using a self-striping yarn. I mentioned before that I knit the smallest size on these Addie's Flexi Flips. So these are 2.5 millimeters US 1. I don't know if you can see that. How about if I hold it right side up? Flexi Flips US 1, 2.5 millimeters, which is larger than what I normally knit, but since the yarn is heavier, it's a heavier fingering weight yarn. Normally I use Chagu Red Lace size 0. And I still ended up having to rip out and adjust the pattern so it would fit my skinny foot. So my foot around the foot is 8.5 inches, and the smallest size is 9.5 inches. So let me see, where am I at? I'm getting close to 40 rounds of the leg. And I think I have about 10, I weighed my yarn the other day, and I have about 10 grams left. So I'm still trying to decide where to, kind of thinking of ending at 40 or 44. The foot, I believe, is 48 rounds. So it'd be nice if I had some symmetry there. Excuse me, I just ate my lunch. And could have 48 rounds, and maybe I will. I mean, that's 11 rounds to go plus the cuff. So I may do that, and just do that and then knit as many of the cuff rounds until I run out of yarn. So this is, let me show you what it looks like in the skein. So this is the yarn in the skein, Patons Kroy socks, and the colorway is Blue Raspberry. So I think it lends itself very well to this pattern. I have found that self-striping yarn typically lends itself well to a lot of sock patterns. Where I find I have the hardest part, particularly lace patterns. I mean, typically what I try to do is I pick out this really nice variegated yarn that I like, and then try to do a lace or a textured pattern, and it just really doesn't show up well anywhere around. So here's the knitting needle. So I'll just put this all back together. So this is the first sock. And I expect I'll be starting the second sock sometime next week. We'll see. So again, 52 weeks of socks by, I think it's Laine or Laine Publishing. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. I've heard it a couple different ways. It looks like Laine. And again, I had to adjust the cable pattern. The cable pattern is in, it's an 8-stitch repeat, and because I had to reduce it so that there is 28 stitches on needle 1 and 28 stitches on needle 2, I had to reduce it to adjust the pattern so it's a 7-stitch repeat, which was really easy to do. What else do I have going on? So I finished the body of my Riverside sweater, and it fits. Happy to report that it fits. It fits very nicely. I like that it's more brown. I haven't blocked it. Well, I'm not done with it yet, which is why I haven't blocked it. So I went back, I started on the sleeve because the sleeve, let me show you the one that I haven't altered yet. The sleeve goes to about here, like it's supposed to in the pattern. You know, this is a worsted weight sweater. I don't want a sleeve that just goes to my elbow. If I'm wearing a worsted weight sweater, it means it's cold outside. I want it to be bracelet length, and I'm very fussy about the length of my sleeves. I don't like them too long, otherwise I start rolling them up. I don't like them too baggy, otherwise they just let air in and they flop around, which also bugs me. So I wanted a fitted sleeve. So the idea was I was going to take out the cuff and then knit the sleeve to bracelet length. So another, I don't know, whatever that is, 5 inches maybe. And to start reducing so it is more fitted. Well, let me show you what happened. This is what happens when you don't look on the interwebs for resources on how to do this. You end up with a funny looking, if you increase too much, so I think I decreased, did I say increase? I meant decrease. Decrease every other round. Well, that was too much. That's not how you knit sleeves. So I'm going to go back up to here and then look at some other resources. I have a pattern in mind that I've knit. It's by the Crayabea. I don't remember the name of the cardigan, but it had a nice detail on how to do decreases. So I will go back and follow that schematic from that sweater, since that one has bracelet length sleeves. And I will also look at how long those sleeves were, so I could measure that in that sweater, and that would be also helpful. So back to the drawing board. This is in a little bit of a timeout. It's getting to be, although it froze this morning, I had to take my truck in to Snohomish to pick up my horse trailer, and it was 35 degrees at like, I don't know, 8:30 this morning, but my windshield was frozen, so I had to sit there and wait for it to thaw out. So it's still cold out, but it's really nice and warm right now. I was outside working with my horses. I had a lesson this afternoon. No, I mean this morning, starting at 11:30, and it was just kind of, you know, long sleeve, light long sleeve, and a vest. So that was plenty. I'll talk about that a little bit more when I talk more about horsemanship. I am going to talk about a new cast on. I also want to mention, no, I totally forgot what I was going to say. So let's talk about my new cast on, and then maybe oh, I know what I was going to say. So I am going to include at the end of this video a little clip I did last weekend where Randy and I were burning our burn pile, or, you know, of all the sticks and stuff that we collect over the year from pruning and from branches falling down and stuff like that aren't big enough for firewood. So, and in that I said everything's content, and it's true. And I just want to talk about that for a second before I talk about my new cast on. So it's kind of weird just when you produce content to be viewed by someone else, or even maybe if you're a blog writer, you're always thinking about, how do I present this? How do I explain this to someone? Perhaps instead of just being in the moment. So I really wanted to think about that for a moment, and maybe not have everything be content, but I felt that was appropriate because it's just definitely reality. When you live on a farm, you live on property with trees and some wilderness, as it were. That's part of it. And actually a burn pile is kind of fun. So I'll leave it at that and show you my new cast on. So I didn't mention that this bag was made by my mom. Nice drawstring bag, nice lined bag, super handy for holding a book and a book of patterns and a small project. My other two bags are, this was from a conference I went to, I think last year. So this is Washington State Environmental Health Association. So they are the state certifying body for environmental health specialists or registered sanitarians, which is a certification that's required for my profession. Being a registered sanitarian also means that you have to have a 4-year degree in some sort of natural science. My 4-year degree is in biology, and I have a master's degree in biogeochemical oceanography from UCLA. That was a bit of a tangent about environmental health. However, if anyone would like a very interesting profession, I highly recommend looking into maybe the National Environmental Health Association. They are the national certifying body for registered environmental health specialists. That's where my certification comes from, even though I live in the state of Washington and have been an environmental health professional in the state of Washington my whole career, which has been 18 years so far. However, the national certification is good for all the states in the U.S. So if anyone has an inkling to change careers, I highly recommend looking into that. Or if maybe you have college-age children who kind of don't know what they want to do, I highly recommend looking into that too. I fell into the profession accidentally, and it has been the most satisfying profession I've ever had. Shall we talk about my new cast on? Okay. My new cast on is another Pacific Knit Co. This is the Cryptid Cowl, which is super fun. So what you can see on this picture is a Sasquatch and Mothman. I'm not super familiar with Mothman. I am familiar with the legend of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Because I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I believe there have been sighting claims all over the U.S. and probably all over the world. So this is a double-sided cowl. The other cryptid in here is the Loch Ness monster, which is not featured in the photos, I don't think. And I don't want to show you the chart because it's a paid-for pattern, and that would not be fair. So, here's a good schematic of it, I think, the diagram. So here's what it looks like. When you're doing the two-sided, you do one right side up and one upside down, and this is the right side up one of the Loch Ness monster. So that's my plan to do. I have started on the chart of Bigfoot. So let me show you my yarn. I think I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 colors. I, for some reason, had more than that. So I'm not sure what directions I was reading. Who knows what directions I was reading? I am not the best direction reader. This DK weight, or it might be sport weight. This is a Knit Picks color. I honestly don't remember what the colorway is. It might be charcoal. The contrast color, and this is kind of the border, is a spin cycle yarn. So it's a provisional cast on, which I did in this red. And then I am almost done with the border piece. And we'll start the cryptid part, so the Bigfoot part, here shortly. And that'll be the first side, and then the second side will be the Loch Ness Monster. So the other colors I have, I think what I have just, so how did I see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like I have 6 colors. So main colors. So this is going to feature prominently in the main body of the cowl. This will be kind of the background color. The cryptid, I decided, is going to be either, so this color, which goes nicely with this color, or this kind of brighter color. And I could do this two ways. I could do the cryptid, the Bigfoot cryptid in this color. So this is going to be that section. And I could do the Loch Ness in this color, or I could do both. So I have two skeins of this, or two balls of this. And then the sky is this other color, which is also knit picked. So all of these yarns are knit picks, except for this one, which is spin cycle. My other one is, it looks like an undyed yarn, and I kind of don't remember where this all came from. But I'm thinking of saving this for something else. So here is the color. So it is 5. No, because it's either or. So it's going to be this with this as the sky, or it is going to be, well, here, let me do this differently. So it is going to be this. Can you see? This is what I'm thinking maybe for Loch Ness versus, get my hand out of the way so you can see this with this color being Bigfoot. That's what I'm kind of thinking. So I guess one thing I'm curious about is how much leftover I am going to have of this. It could be, if I have half a ball of yarn, it just might make the most sense. I don't know. I'm not going to decide right now. So I will definitely keep you apprised of that progress. So I'm just trying to keep the yarns all organized. And fortunately, this pattern is fairly simple in that it is just 2 colors at a time. So, and there's no need to carry yarn. The only yarn I need to carry is this main color. Once I finished with this on the border, I'm gonna cut it and then do the upside down chart for Loch Ness Monster, which I assume is going to use that, will be featured again. But in the meantime, you know, I have 40 rows or whatever it is of doing the cryptid part. So that is that. That is what I have for you for knitting. I can talk about horsemanship for a little bit. So I had a lesson. So first of all, I went to Snohomish to pick up my trailer. It got serviced and had the once over to make sure it remains safe to haul my precious bundles. Well, precious bundle, since only one of them is getting in the trailer currently. So I have some exercises I can do with Odin in the round pen, and we've been practicing those just on the ground with me, just sort of directing, you know, go that way, do this, you know, go just walk or trot or, you know, and do these things and change direction and stuff like that. So it's really good exercise to do that. It's kind of like doing yoga in a way, especially at the walk. I mean, it's like, you know, like if you're standing in one place, you cross your leg over and you pivot over, you know, you kind of stretch out your hip. It's kind of the same idea, you know, it's can be nice, you get some movement, and also, you know, it also establishes a connection between us, because I'm saying, hey, could you do this thing? And he says, all right, yeah, I can do that. So today I decided that I was going to ride him and do those same exercises. And it's actually a little bit easier. I have a little bit more, it's easier for me. I have a little, you know, more directional control over him, but it can be harder. Like one thing we're working on is walking over poles, because that requires him to tighten his core
and lift up his feet. And that is definitely harder with a rider on his back. So we just practiced that a couple times. We did it at the walk, we did it at the trot, changed directions, and yay, we're done. So that was what I did with Odin, and then my trainer came and we worked with Bragi. So it's been a while since we worked with Bragi on trailer loading, and I have certainly talked about sort of the ways that we are breaking this down for him, just so he understands what I'm asking him to do, and he develops the skills to be patient. And if he gets scared, he knows what to do. And mainly is like, look to me for direction instead of panicking and hurting himself and potentially me because he's scared. So he and I have been practicing this game every morning. If you've been following along for a while, you know that we play this cone game every morning. And, it's touch your cone, move your hip over, touch your cone, move your hip over that way. Okay, now back up. He's super attached to the cone. He's reluctant to leave that cone. So today, I have asked Bragi to do everything that I know how to ask him to do, and he has done it. So we were at a point where we needed some new exercises. And so my trainer came over and she wanted to double check us on these exercises we've been doing. And he was a rock star. And she said, I am super impressed. I wasn't expecting you to get so far with him on that, but it's clear that your relationship has really come a long way. So we brought him up front, which he hasn't been up there in a while. And of course, it's a nice day out, so the neighbor's riding his tractor, which always makes things just a little bit more interesting because it's noisy and Bragi's not that familiar with it. But he did his exercises really well. So what we did is we set up the cone, and he's not attached to a particular cone. He just likes a cone, a traffic cone, which is what I mean. So we set it up at the back end of the trailer, so there's no pressure to get in the trailer, but he's near the trailer, which could cause some stress. And that did not appear to cause him any stress. It was really the neighbor doing his work in his own yard that was causing him stress. Bragi was just like, I'm not sure about that. Okay, that's fine. So we just made it very easy because we want Bragi's cooperation and we want his understanding in order to be safe in the trailer and to have it be safe for me to be in the trailer with him when I am getting him set up. So we practiced that for a while and didn't quite get like all the way so where he was like targeting the cone and then moving his rear end over so that it kind of touched the door of the closed door of the trailer. But that was fine. We just made a lot of progress. I understand what exercises that we can do now that my trainer's gone. And this was really hard for Bragi, and he tends to hold on to his stress. So we ended at like a really easy exercise. Yay, good boy. And then we walked back to the barn, and because he holds on to his stress, there was just something, a bird chirping or something. He's like, oh my goodness. And he kind of bonked his shoulder into me, which is not okay. He's a big animal. He's 1,200 pounds. And so, we had to have a little discussion about, okay, you are okay to, get nervous about things, but you need to do it away from me, not touching me. So it startled me. We just established, okay, you just need to, back up. If you need to freak out, go freak out over there. And then we went up to the barn and we went back to a familiar exercise that he was really good at. And my trainer said, knowing how much tension he held from the exercises up front, this may not go as well as it did when we first started. So, okay, I just had low expectations, but as soon as we started the exercise, he was like, yeah, I know how to do this. I'm into this. And it was perfect. I'm really proud of him. So just as a side note of like teaching your horses how to react when they're startled, just so that they're a thinking animal. I mean, we don't want to take away their sensitivity, because they are prey animals, and we don't want them to become dull and completely unaware of their environment if there's danger. Sometimes we count on them to let us know when there's danger, and we want them to alert us, but we want them to behave in a way that is not going to hurt themselves or anyone else around them. So the other night, it was feeding time, and the boys do really well about self-separating. I feed them in their own stalls. Well, Odin has been a stinker lately, and he's been going into Bragi's stall at feeding time, even though we've been doing this routine for a very long time, years. So I was shushing Odin out of Bragi's stall, and Bragi was trying to come in, and Odin was like, no, I don't want to leave his stall. So it's like, get out of his stall. And ordinarily, and Bragi was getting a little upset because this isn't normal. And Odin's getting a little upset because he doesn't want to do what I'm asking him to do. So I'm like, Odin, you need to do this. And because no one's getting fed, including me, until this happens. So, I directed him out of the stall, and Bragi was still kind of like, oh my goodness. And, and Odin came back in, which he wasn't supposed to do, and Bragi was getting upset about it. But instead of Bragi freaking out and leaving when I did finally shush Odin out of the stall for good, Bragi went to his stationary target in his stall. I set up a stationary target, which is basically a rubber feed tub that I secured upside down in his stall, and we've been practicing targeting. And so he did that. He's like, look, I'm going to my target. I'm a good boy. He's not such a good boy, but I'm a good boy. Look at me. I'm going to my target. So I was so proud of him. I gave him lots of rewards for that. And then they both got fed since Odin went to the correct stall. So on that note, I've been talking for quite a long time. And of course, I have other footage that will make this even longer. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you are able to work on your project and get lots done on it, and I will catch up with you next time. I'm going to see if my remote works.